When God was a child, he began to speak tongues his mother did not know. Often before slumber, she relayed direct transcriptions to dreamweavers, dependent as she was on an overnight delivery. Hence, conversations were mostly slow, labored, intentional, patient, every lack of sound heard clearly resonating as prayer or praise-filled séjours. Unless asked, dreamweavers brought clarity, cognizance, uncorrupted, unlike cellular phones and other translations utilized these days. At the corner bar, God's father took the good-natured ribbing of his comrades in stride, sinking each ball into its pocket gentle and direct like stream of consciousness. The nicknames which they incessantly volleyed from voice box to air like racquetball or badminton or scrapes the first layers of his skin. They scraped the first layers of his skin recklessly. He knew they were intended as backslaps, secret handshakes, membership. So God's father willed the seeping blood which crept to vision like martyrs back into their barracks. He silenced them with lullabies, internal lullabies, and other lyrics steeped in winnings, which cordon hunger's wine away into far corners of imagination. Now God from the beginning was demandingly particular with regard to every facet of everything. Once, startled awake just before twilight, God's mama freedomed her fatigue, found her spade, walked 8 miles wearing her night clothes and humming. She knelt to dig for 3 hours before returning home, and handing God's placenta and the flower from a linden tree made God smile wide as her imagination could conceive, so intent she was on cultivating happiness. And this smile was always wider than the moment before. God carried that placenta like a juju bag, like a signature tote flung carefully, carefree over the shoulder, sometimes folded over and over again, the restless night's thickness. Its heavy weight protecting only those drapetomanias. Y'all know what a drapetomanias is? Drapetomania is a shit, sorry, interlude. When they called us slaves, and we were just living on a plantation trying to, get some juba. The idea of running away, the act of running away was a mental disease. It was called drapetomania. So I believe that we still must have drapetomania, and we could be drapetomaniast. So anyway, protecting only those drapetomaniasts whose preparation dogma included strength and training. God's father lamented his inability to memorize his initial devoutness. All the pool players held inadequacies of this nature solitary, secret, gathered tight and tall as pyramids, transforming the longing into tangibleness. In amazingly soft spurts, they pulled that cue back most reliably in the ritual of pulling that cue back, sliding it through fingers, sending the cue ball on intentional journeys, dependent upon geography's practical magic passenger list, knowledge of terrain. Like devout gamblers, devout in the faith that impending all-powerful payout, they tallied this grand itch as minute, but impetuous itches, each weighted, measured, coveted for its proximity to those first memories which loomed deliciously just beyond grasp, gracing only their fingertips like a whisper or wetness felt through denim. Once when God went visiting the pool hall, sipped his grenadine and Sprite in gulps, he chanted his story, telling from his parents' initial imaginings to the building of his membranes, the learning of language and beats resonating from his mother's organs off banks of rivers, institutionalized and cataloged as language by drum beats and beatboxes. He talked so long, taking 10 breaks to pee, his bladder overwhelmed with grenadine and Sprite and memory. God storied all the way to his first devoutness, storied the building of his remembrances and devouted his devout. He told how he received directions and swimming lessons, not released until his strength and desire were synchronized, and the current was determined manageable for a first necessary entrance into light. Through proclamations that God talked like a woman, the men guffawed and bathed in unfettered wholeness. The men recanted and relished, and none came home broke. Like gamblers, they treated God like a mojo. They insisted God's nightly return. They counted his appearance as bond, supplying his thirst with unending cups of grenadine and lime, and listening to his stories as hurried beggars a stone's throw from boardwalk. They manifested lies about the increasingly frequent losses they brought home, left open gaping wounds, clawed into lovers, and themselves expressed amazement in their discoveries, explained these absences, this lack of money like crop circles, did not tell of the labor spent maniacally digging in search of some archaeological, astrological map in Braille or some other brilliant code. That's the first time I've read that, and I was thinking about when I wrote it. One is that Sonia Sanchez says that we breathe the same breath as Hitler. And I was thinking about that in relation to God, in the sense of like people vilify other people for things that they think are worse than whatever their worst thing is. And so there was this bar I used to hang out at, and it's a dive bar, it's a drug bar, and I find that in that spot, like people are all, there's dykes there, I mean there are bull daggers there. My people are there. There are straight motherfucking dudes there, like, you know, the most, whatever you believe that a black man, your biggest fear or your biggest love or your whatever, your well-hung stereotype, they are there. There are white women there. There are skinny people, fat people, you know, big people, like dancing people, standing still people, one-legged man, the dude that just sits at the same corner of the bar, but everybody talks about real shit. And I would say that, you know, like one of the things that we need to learn as a community, drugs are not the answer, okay? They're not no sustainable fucking answer. But they do open a portal, sometimes. And anybody who, you know, engages in anything, like music, etc., knows this. At any rate, as we strive to create community with each other, we need to take a page from some of the people that we be talking about all the time. Because in the bar, people get real. They look at you, know what they doing, you know what they doing, they can say all kinds of shit. If they don't like black people, they tell you. And you tell them to suck your dick. You know, like, it's just good. I mean, I don't know, if they do, it just gets real. You watch a baseball game, and I just really appreciate that about those places and any other places where they say that underprivileged and under whatever people hang out. And I want to encourage us to, you know, we don't need all the pieces to get real. Those are just like roots, shortcuts. So let's do that.